We're now with the Planning Commission, and Rick, Doug, could you all introduce yourselves and your colleagues, and then make whatever presentation you'd like to make?
Be glad to. I'm Rick Bernhardt, as you know, Executive Director of the Planning Commission. We have with us Jim McLean, who's the Chair of the Planning Commission, Doug Sloan, who's the Deputy Director of the Commission, and Jennifer Carlett, who's the Assistant Director of the Commission. And Jennifer's new into this job with Ann's retirement. She was promoted up to fill that position. And in fact, some of that helped us accommodate some of the budget requests. But I want to first just express my appreciation and to you for your support in providing me the time to lead the Nashville Next project, the general plan update. It's been extremely satisfying and fulfilling, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that process over the next 2.5 years. And with that, Doug has had the maybe undesirable responsibility of handling all the day-to-day operations, or many of the day-to-day operations. So I've asked him to kind of go through some of the accomplishments and respond to the budget request.
Well, we received Mr. Riebling's request for us to present a 2% reduction in our budget, and we believe that we will be able to accomplish that through some of the personnel changes that we've had over the last year, and certainly some of those changes have occurred through the retirement incentive that y'all offered. So that helped us to promote within our department and move people up, and then bring the people that are coming back in to fill those positions in at the base salary positions for the planners. Last year, we had over 25,000 requests for services that we were able to respond to within our department. The troubled bond situation that we've encountered since the failing of the housing market. We have now, last year we had 11 of those unresolved cases totaling $2.5 million, and we have been able to cut that down to one last remaining case that is at $252,000. And if you'll remember, I think we had 32 cases in 2008 that we were presented with, and that we worked with both the developers and the banking community to try to resolve those.
All right, good work on that.
Thank you. And we also worked with the Public Works Department to adjust the sidewalk contribution fees. This was something that we felt was hindering infill development within Nashville, and we worked with Public Works to come up with an in lieu fee amount that will give us the money to be able to come back in and replace those sidewalks where we have infill development, but at the same time not make it so burdensome for developers that they won't be able to do those infill developments. And then we also managed the Fairgrounds Master Plan process as directed by the Council, and presented a complete economic analysis and master plan. We provided MTA with development and economic analysis on potential future bus rapid transit routes. Our mapping services and GIS division created and implemented a new online parcel reviewer, created a web mapping application showing government services countywide, created and put into service the NERV emergency response application, which provides real-time information about emergency situations, created the Nashville Parks Finder application, and continues to build the new web mapping applications for other metro departments. I do want to also point out that our mapping department has worked closely with the DA's office and the courts in their prosecution of drug violations near schools, and that's been actually, I think, a big success with the DA's office. We've collaborated with other land development departments to streamline the permitting process and establish plans for the one-stop permitting shop, which we hope we'll soon be able to unveil. We worked with the Downtown Chamber, business owners, and the sign industry and other departments to develop the Downtown Sign Code as part of the overall Downtown Code. Since the passage of the Downtown Code in 2010, over $544 million have been invested in downtown, as opposed to $176 million in the 2.5 years prior to that. Additionally, every project from July 2007 until February of 2010 required variances of some type. Since the passage of the Downtown Code, no variances have been necessary. It is creating the zoning that fits to how Nashville is growing is what we're also seeking to do in the Midtown area. The council has already taken great steps towards that earlier this year in rezoning and using a lot of the new zoning designations that were created last year for that area, and there's legislation that's pending now to increase that in Midtown. So we hope to see that same success there. Also, the Antioch Priest-Lake Community Plan was updated at unprecedented community involvement levels. I think that was a great success, and we just recently printed out copies of those that we have in our office. And as Rick alluded to a moment ago, we've initiated and made significant progress on creating a countywide general plan, which will guide and direct the progress through 2040. And with that, I'll kick it back over to Rick to talk about how we're going to handle that in the future.
Yeah, I'd like to just have the opportunity to share with you and those that are watching this the process and what's going on with the Nashville Next plan. It is a general plan looking forward to what's going to happen in this county and in this region over the next 25 years between now and 2040. It's kind of interesting if you go back, celebrating Metro's 50th anniversary, you go back to when Metro was formed. This was in effect a one-county region, and the core of that region was all inside the inner loop, if even that large. If you go out to 2040, what you're looking at is a 10 or 11 county region where the core is all the developable land really in Davidson County out to Williamson and Rutherford County. We're going to be facing the need to accommodate at least 1 million people in this region between now and 2040. In 2040, Rutherford and Williamson County will be the size of Davidson County in 2000. I mean, they'll both be over 500,000 people. So trying to accommodate that growth is going to be significant if we want to try and preserve the quality of life and enhance the development standards that we've got here. We're also faced with a much changing and more diverse population, as you know, Mayor. This county, by 2040, the largest single ethnic group would be Latinos, roughly at 34%, 32% white, and then about 27 or 28% African American. So the change in terms of diversity and reaching out to that diverse population between now and then is critically important. And much of the effort we're taking in terms of developing the plan at this point in time is to reach out to community, to all parts of this community, and to have those engaged. Towards that, we've started by doing a survey of community members, a 1,000-person survey and a 150-person in-depth one-on-one survey within the county, and then another 1,000 people outside the county in conjunction with the NPO to try to get a sense of what the feeling of the community was. We are in the process of unveiling a series of background papers. I know Tim mentioned that they were doing one on historic preservation, but we're doing these, and we've asked generally, we've asked very few Metro departments to actually do them. They're actually being done by members of the community that are focused on the topics. For example, the education background paper is being done by Dr. Candace McQueen and Claire Smecker of Vanderbilt. McQueen, of course, is of Lipscomb, but they collaborated to try to analyze the situation. What we've asked each of these white papers in their own topics, from arts and culture, children and youth, demographics, hazard adaptation, housing, and on, but we've asked them to look at the state of the art in the field they're asking. What is the state of Metro relative to that? And then what are some options that Metro ought to be considering, or this community ought to be considering, as we discuss this topic as we go forward. We're supporting that with a speaker series. As you well know, you were able to attend the kickoff series and welcome Governor Glenn Denning. We had a great turnout at that of over 500 people, and we've continued every 2 weeks to have a speaker. In fact, we had Mitchell Silver, who talked about diversity. We had Henry Cisneros that talked about economic development and prosperity. This past week we had Doug Farr, who talked about sustainable urbanism and sustainable development. All of those presentations have been well received, and basically we've had a tremendous attendance and a lot of diversity, and we've engaged those people as part of the visioning process. We'll continue that over the next couple of months, talking about the issue of livability, talking about infrastructure, and talking about regionalism. And we're kind of framing the whole plan in terms of diversity and regionalism. Kind of covers the overarching themes as we go forward with that. It's interesting, some of the white papers, and some of the findings of those. Some of our initial analysis on infrastructure, which was being done by ULI and TASSER, identified, and this is more of a budget question, that if we continue to grow the way we are, what they have projected that over the next 5 years, we'll have an infrastructure budget needs in Davidson County of about $4.8 billion. And you compare that with the fact that we have been spending about $1.2 billion on infrastructure improvements over that time period. So the community will have some issues to discuss in terms of how we grow, where we grow, and what the implications, obviously, in terms of the cost of that growth is going to be. But between now and July, we'll be continuing this community education process. We have access through a lot of ways. We're using all of the social media, crowdsourcing media, the NashvilleNext.net webpage, which is on the Metro web system, is available for access for individuals. We've got a lot of people involved in terms of providing ideas. Beginning this summer, we'll be recruiting resource teams that will assist in the public input as we get public input in terms of evaluating that input, providing options for people to discuss. Beginning in 2014, we'll be going back out to the community with various options and alternatives to discuss implications of those changes. And then towards the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, we'll bring a preferred option as a result of those hearings and discussions with adoption in 2015. So I'm extremely pleased with the community turnout. I think that they believe in that and recognize the importance of their input. As you know, we have formed this coalition that's actually doing the plan based on 4 foundational elements. Metro government is represented from an efficient government point of view. We've asked the Nashville Chamber of Commerce to be there to represent the economic development point of view, the Land Trust for Tennessee to represent the environmental point of view, and Nashville for All of Us to represent the diversity and equity. And their charge is to make sure that all of those areas are adequately and appropriately covered as we go out throughout this planning process. So I appreciate your support in this in particular, and the realization of the importance of this as we go forward and setting the tone for recognizing the changes that this community is going to be facing and setting us up to be proactive in terms of engaging that change.
Yeah, I think the kickoff event was fantastic, huge crowd, and I understand the crowds have been good for every event that's had so far, and I've actually was just presented with a big book of all the reports and things, so it's been really good work, and I think people are excited about it. I've run into people when I'm out who just express their thrill that we're doing it and their interest in participating, so good work on that. Can you talk a little bit about the fairgrounds report? What came out of that?
Well, the fairgrounds report itself was done, as you know, at the request of council, and they asked for 2 things out of the fairgrounds report. One, they wanted an economic analysis of what was the model. If you were doing a fairgrounds right now, what would be the best model? And then they also asked what would be the highest and best use of the fairgrounds property itself. There were 2 consultants that were brought in on that. With regard to the ideal fairgrounds, they basically presented a design. They suggested that placing or having the desired components of a fairgrounds didn't fit the location that they were at. They recommended that the city consider relocating that into a more appropriate location with more appropriate facilities and that could accommodate that in a number of areas. It was followed up by a recognition of the proximity and location of the existing fairgrounds as an economic development opportunity for a mixed use, recognizing the need to return that area, some of the area to restore the environmental integrity of the area along Browns Creek and for parkland, but the potential for that being a mixed use development pattern. I think there was an awful lot of discussion, community meetings, and I think that if the city chose to continue with the fairgrounds, I think their recommendation, and I would support this, would be an alternative site may be more appropriate that would actually could accommodate those uses, and then utilize that as an infill location for higher development options.
Okay. And then that report was done at the behest of the council, and it's gone to the council.
It has been presented to the council, and it's up to the council to take whatever action they desire.
Okay. And Doug, could you talk a little bit about the one-stop shopping, or one-stop permitting, whatever?
Yeah,
What do you call
I
it?
don't know that we've really given it a name just yet. I've got to say that I've been with Metro, off and on, as you well know, for 15 years. And I think that right now we have unprecedented cooperation between the departments, codes, planning, water services, public works, fire. Everybody is working very well together. I think that when the economy, the housing market went down, it forced us to try to figure out solutions and work together. And I think in the long run that's benefited all of us. And in doing so, we also saw some value in moving all the departments into one location so that the property owners and developers and builders will have one location they can go to, and they'll be able to get all their permits at that one location without having to go to different office buildings around town. And in trying to achieve that, what we've done is we've looked at the building at Metro Office Building, how we can reload that building, who we can move in and out to at least get everyone into the building and make it work in a more efficient manner. And I think that we've achieved that. Right now we're working on two things: the details of exactly where the desks are going to be in the building, and the budget, how much that's going to cost.
The budget.
The budget for that, and we are still trying to whittle that down also, because we're only, I think, maybe picking up one position in the entire changeover and the entire move. Almost all the positions are going to be ones that exist that we're just simply relocating into that building. And reconfiguring it. But we hope to have the design together in the next month, a final design for how the building will be laid out. And at that same time, we'll present the finance director with what we believe the budget will be to accomplish that.
Sure, you'll receive a kind reception. Rich, got any questions?
No, appreciate it.
Great.
I did have one question. There is an improvement request for some additional money for the general plan update. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Explain that to me, because I don't
Okay.
try to understand that yet.
When we started the process, we put together a 3-year budget
Right.
for the plan, and this is really year 2. The primary purpose of that is we've hired a consultant to assist us in community engagement, and we have them really under a 30-month contract, and it is primarily for that, and then direct costs that are associated with the plan.
Remind everybody, we kind of took a different tack than a lot of cities do in how we do the general plan.
Right,
and
right.
It resulted in some savings.
That's correct. We've been needing to do a general plan, as you well know, for several years. The projected estimate to do that through a consulting firm was between $2 and $3 million. Again, I appreciate the mayor's recommendation and suggestion that if we could free up some of our staff time by providing an assistant director or deputy director, that it would free up my time to kind of lead that effort. And so as a result of that, we've been able to take that approach, utilize the resources that we have on staff, engage the community, and then minimize the cost. It was what was projected about $400,000 for it in terms of outreach.
Can you talk a little bit about, during the depths of the recession in 08 and 09, 10, a lot of the activity slowed down. How do things feel now at planning in terms of economic activity in the city?
Well, we're definitely seeing an increase. They're different. What we're seeing now, the development that we're seeing today that we saw before 2008, it looks quite different. Most of our developments are larger. They're more in town. They're mixed-use developments. We're not seeing as many of the single-family subdivision developments on the outside of town. And I would say that that's that's good. It's good for all of us because it's also going to take advantage of the infrastructure that we already have in place in town and not require us to build additional infrastructure or take over even additional infrastructure further out of town that's going to cost the taxpayers more dollars to maintain. We've seen quite a bit of growth in and around the Sobro area, particularly around the convention center. And we're starting to see larger projects take a lot more planning to pull off in the downtown area, but we are seeing a lot of interest in land both in Midtown, the Gulch, and as I said, in the Sobro area, as well as a lot of infill development throughout the rest of the county. So we've seen about, I would say, a 10% increase in applications, a little over that in just the last year, which was a nice change from what we had seen the decrease in previous years.
I think one thing, though, on this is that we're kind of the canary in the mine
That's right.
approach, because we're getting many more people that actually contact us and want information at the very, very beginning stage, and we're seeing an awful lot. Those, as Doug mentioned, we've had 25,000 contacts and interactions over the last year, and that represents, I think, a significant upturn in people that are interested in developing, and they're trying to explore what options are out there.
And then, of course, the planning that was been done recently, too, in the Sobro area.
Right.
I think that's been, what I've seen has been really exciting.
No, I think it is really exciting. As we continue with the general plan, we're actually incorporating a lot of that planning directly into the document itself. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're incorporating a lot of the policies and plans that have been done, from the Green Ribbon Committee report to the Open Space report to the Sobro report, and actually bringing those in and trying to make sure that they mesh and work together and complement each other.
The alternative mixed-use zoning designations that I think was passed originally last year has also created a lot of opportunity and will actually reduce the amount of work that we have, and I think encourage development, because then a property owner is going to be able to look at their property, know exactly what they can do as far as development, and built into that are already the design standards that we look for, building up to the street, wider sidewalks, parking in the rear, more landscaping. All of that's built into the base zoning. So it helps the developer or homeowner or builder to know what they can build. At the same time, it helps the community because we already have those design guidelines built in.
Great. Jennifer, congratulations on your position. And Jim, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple of comments. I want to echo what Rick has said about the general plan and y'all's willingness to sign on to it. And I think it's correct, the decision that was made to do it in-house. I think we've got the best staff to do that with. Great excitement from the commissioners along this line. A lot of enthusiasm with Doug's position now, and we hated to lose Ann, but I think we're well kept with Jennifer moving into that position. I always felt that and I don't think I was biased or have been biased in my opinion, but that the Planning Commission has one of the most dedicated staffs within Metro. They work day and night, as you well know, well into the night, going out into the neighborhoods. Along the line of the amount of new construction, of course, I'm more oriented to the single family, but if you drive around, you see a lot of infill houses that have been torn down and built. Along with that, 10 years ago, you would have driven through these neighborhoods, be cars parked along the street, and that's about all you would see on the weekend. Now I see women pushing their strollers, couples out walking dogs, jogging. In a lot of these neighborhoods, it's come a long way under the leadership of Rick, to get us going in that direction and not going out to the other side of the county, edge of the county, and building large subdivisions with 2 and 3 acre lots. So sustainability, I think, is well on its way, and I want to thank y'all for your assistance and all that you've done for us in making the general plan come about. And we will have that ready about 3 months prior to you going out of office, so it can be finalized and put into effect and voted on under your leadership. So
well, thank you. And Jim, thank you for your leadership with the commission and all the commissioners and all the staff. I agree that the planning commission staff they love their work, and it shows. And thank you, you're one of the regular attendees at all of our walks, and you're a role model to us all, so.
My age, I gotta stay healthy.
Yeah. All right, thanks, good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.